Oh. Oh. Saira. Just to recollect what we were discussing last week. Anyway, I wish you all a holy and auspicious Aradhana festival today. We are having study cycle on this auspicious day itself is a very nice thing. So let's recollect what we discussed last week. Swami is talking about Bhagavatam as something which deals with the avatar of the Lord who is actually without any form. The glory of that Lord, his leelas, these are described in the Bhagavata. And the question which the devotee is asking, what are those forms? Swami went on to say that they're Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, and then Swami listed a few of the avatars which are part of the Dashavatar also. And said those are forms. Even though the Lord's forms are limitless, there is no limit to the number of forms. These are just for that we understand. Naturally, we understand. Swami listed these forms, and we discussed, whether it's physically born or mentally born and things like that. Also, we discussed. That's where we were. So we can continue from there. If anyone has something to say, we can. Maybe we'll read those. We are going to read this again once more, and then we can discuss and move on. Saira.
Bhakta, what are the forms which that witness assumed? Why did he assume those forms? Swami, really speaking, he is all forms, Sarva Swarupa. There is no limit to the number or nature of his forms. Still, if something must be said in conformity with what has happened, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Vamana, Narasimha, Rama, and Krishna, these are its incarnations. In order to transact the creation, the preservation, and the destruction of the world, and to punish the wicked and protect the good, he assumes himself the form he designs as best at the time and for the purpose he has set before himself. When that purpose is realized, he is, as before, the witness, the Atma Swarupa.
Thank you very much, sister. So this is what we had read and discussed last week. If anyone has something to say, please go ahead. We'll pause for some time, and if there is none, then we will move on, continue. Maybe you can read on, Sister Kalyani, because I think Swami is still continuing with the same topic. Okay.
Bhakta, Rama and Krishna also punished the wicked and protected the good, isn't it, Swami? Then how do you say that in the Ramayana and the Mahabharata there is the Gunaswarupa, while in the Bhagavatam there is no Gunaswarupa? Swami, you see, gunas have a beginning and an end. The Atma has neither. Rama and Krishna too have no qualities essentially. They have demonstrated how, being above gunas, it is possible to keep all gunas under control. The Ramayana and the Mahabharata stories have an end, isn't it? In that sense, the Bhagavatam has no end. It speaks of the Lord who has no beginning or end. It tells of the forms which the Lord wore in the context of the age, the time, and the object. The other two, on the other hand, teach the correct policies to be followed in this false, evanescent world, and urge men to follow Satya, Dharma, Shanti, and Prema. Do you understand?
Thank you very much, Sister. Swami is, I think the devotee has a question, In the Ramayana also, the Lord was there. He had some gunas. So then Swami elaborates and clarifies the question. So I will just stop here. There's nothing much for me to say. I will open it up for anyone to discuss if they have something to state or ask. Saira. I guess if there's nothing, I'll just make a statement. The Ramayana and Mahabharata basically dealt with only one avatar. Ramayana dealt with the Rama avatar. It started and ended with that avatar itself. So that by itself did not see the continuity of the Atman, Paramatman, which is there timelessly. Whereas in Bhagavatam, so many avatars are discussed. So actually, it shows us the thread of the avatars itself is shown in Bhagavatam, because it transcends the small cycles of taking an avataric form and then that coming to an end. So that's why it shows the continuity of the Paramatman who goes back to the witness state, because the witness state is not mentioned at all in the Gita and Ramayana as out of the body, Nirakara Swarup, or without form. So Bhagavatam deals with it a lot. So I think that's what Swami is trying to say, that each of these stories have an end, whereas Bhagavatam does not have an end. It goes on. It has been there forever and it will be there forever. So that's what I understand. If there is no, I will pause for a few seconds, I guess, if there's anything someone has to say or ask. Otherwise, we'll go on. So you can, it's when Swami says it has an end, actually today we are celebrating the end of an avatar, another avatars. It's an avatar samapti today that we are celebrating. But Swami says, I go back to the witness state. So I think it is just to see that statement here, that the Lord is back in its witness state on these days. I thought very timely. Sorry. Okay, we can move on, Sister Kalyani, if it's okay, or you have something to say? No, okay, then we'll.
Bhakta. Then the Bhagavatam is of no practical use to us, so to say. Swami, what? It is the Bhagavatam that is of most use to the sadhakas. It alone explains the real secret of the Lord, his real glory, and his real path. The Ramayana and the Mahabharata endeavor to some extent to uplift the common man, the ordinary man, by moral teaching and example. They show how man can deserve the Lord's grace. But those who seek to know the nature of the Atma and of Paramatma should study more than anything else the Bhagavatam.
Thank you. So, there's nothing for me to elaborate. Swami is very nicely stated. If anyone has something to say, please.
Sairam. So, because I personally, for me, I read only Bhagavata Vahini, but the real Bhagavatam has so many volumes, big books. I have seen that one, and so because maybe I am not, I have not read Bhagavatam, so I have no idea how in those Bhagavatam the nature of Atma and of Paramatma is mentioned. So, brother, if you can recollect, can you briefly say that what is in the Bhagavatam.
So the thing is, as you said, it's a large work. It's a work. To say, briefly is to say, it is just that the Bhagavatam deals with from creation onwards. It talks about Shiva, Vishnu, many, how creation took place, how even the stories of, Sati, Shiva, Daksha, all that is covered. Even Shaiva stories are covered in that. It talks about Gajendra, even various avatars are mentioned in that. The 10 avatars are also not 10, actually many more are mentioned in the Bhagavatam. From what I understand, about 90 avatars so are mentioned, is what I'm told. I myself have not read end to end. It's a huge amount of work for anyone to read. But all these avatars, even these 10 avatar stories are mentioned there, including many of the stories which we come across in Shiva Puranam, Skanda Puranam, etc., etc. So to that extent, it is also considered a Purana. Many people call it Bhagavata Purana. That's considered to be the magnum opus, or the largest Puranic work also by Vedavyasa. And in between, you can see many of the prayers bring out the real nature of the Lord, how he manifests. Even though he was unmanifest, when the devotee calls, he will manifest and bless them. For example, if you take Narsimha Avatara, the Lord was not manifest, but he just manifested from a pillar, and he blessed the devotee of Prahlada. So that shows, even though the Lord is unmanifest, because Prahlada was just praying to Narayana, not necessarily a form. That omnipresent, the Lord who is present everywhere, the Vishnu Tattvam, who is everywhere. That's what he prayed to, and he manifests. Or take the story of Dhruva. Dhruva was a small kid. He prayed, and Narayana, and Vasudeva manifested. So it basically shows how a devotee can make the Lord manifest, whereas that doesn't come through very clearly in the Ramayana. When the devotee prays how the Lord manifests from his witness state as a devotee, that's very well portrayed by the Bhagavata. This is my short summary. I am not an expert or anything like that, though I have read here and there.
Sai Ram, the Swami has already mentioned here, but still I have some, some sort of thoughts in my mind. Ramayana and the Mahabharata endeavor to some extent to uplift the common man, the ordinary man, by moral teaching and example. In Swami's point of view, the great Ramayana and the Mahabharata, it's just to uplift the common man, but the importance Swami has given to the Bhagavatam, why it hasn't brought into the light. Everybody knows the Ramayana story and the Mahabharata and the philosophy behind those, the two ancient and great the epics. Why the Bhagavatam hasn't been given that sort of importance even for the spiritual aspirants or sadhakas? Maybe it's kind of religious politics, or maybe it cannot be easily understood, the philosophy behind the Bhagavatam. That could be the reason why this hasn't been brought into the light, because just like Brother Sivadas said, I have no idea about. I know there's the Bhagavatam text, and even though the group 3 and group 4 they have given some sort of curricula for the SSC program, but when you ask someone, do you know the Mahabharata story, Ramayana? They said immediately, yes, I know, but Bhagavatam, they would say, I don't know. I don't know the details, even though there are a lot of participants in this study circle. Maybe only a few, they may know the the details and the understanding of Bhagavatam, not many though, in my humble opinion. Maybe that sort of thought, it's popped up in my mind. Maybe.
Okay, a good question, sister. I will open it up for anyone to comment.
Sairam, go ahead. Who is that?
So, okay, so, Sairam, brother.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, the Bhagavadams talk about mainly, so but all the incarnation, then mainly talking about between the devotees and the God. They talk about the glory. Even the man about to die, people always ask to read the religious scriptures, religious book. So this Bhagavatam is one of the most important one. The main thing is mind should be withdrawn from the worldly thing. So that will fixed into the spiritual matters. Then you can be peace and leave the world without the worldly attachment and everything. It will give you lots of peace. That is my understanding. Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam, actually, here the common man, the ordinary man, that is meant by these phrases are people like us, the devotees actually. So, because these Rama, Krishna lived, born to a human body and lived in human body and set examples in the similar way that we live. So, and the principles like truth, dharma, satya dharma, these Rama and Krishna, they represented the cardinal values of the human consciousness behavior. So, and it became popular among the public and well known as the biggest two epics. The biggest one is Mahabharata with 100,000 slokas, and so it is very much people accustomed to read it, and it was spread widely because. But when you look at that's what you call Matsya. Matsya is the fish, no? So Lord Narayana became a fish and protected the Vedas, that story. And Matsya, and then what is it? Kurma. Kurma is a tortoise. Tortoise came to raise the Mandara hill to be stable and so that the Devas and Asuras can churn the Milky Ocean. And Varaha is a pig. A pig only appeared and it wanted to see the feet of Lord Shiva or something. Varaha. So Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Narasimha. Narasimha, of course, half man, half lion. Upper part is lion, lower part is man. And so it is an evolution. That they say this is evolutionary. Fish become tortoise. Fish is in the water. Tortoise is in the water as well as in the land. Then fish, the tortoise. Then Varaha is only on the land. And Narasimha, of course, half man, half lion. So man and lion together, man and animal together. Then Vamana. Vamana appeared a human being in the Mahabali's yaga, and he at last he measured the whole universe with the 2 feet and 3rd feet, no place, and he put it on the head of Mahabali. So Vamana. And Parasurama is a born human being, and Rama human being, and Krishna, human being. So even Parasurama's story is very, 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 very good. It is very, it has a teaching. So, so those type of things. So only the Rama and Krishna lived like us, exactly like us, and showed the path to emancipation. Okay, so Bhagavata, of course, I heard it, and people, there are good people who are narrating. Still in the YouTubes also, there are so many things. They are talking about Bhagavata, which has all the philosophical aspect also in the Bhagavata. The Advaita, Dvaita, Visiddhadvaita, and everything. And through the sweet stories, big principles are explained in the Bhagavata. So, and many people quote Bhagavatam to teach people. So what I wanted to convey here to Anandi is that common and ordinary man is the devotees like us. And Bhagavatam talks about even Brahma, Vishnu, Rudra. Those are the basic trinity. So they are talking about their glory, and they came out of Parabrahman, and so many hundreds, and brother said about 90 avatars. So they are. So it is very colossal work, and at least Bhagavan summarized the Bhagavata Vahini for us. Very, very devotional book, along with Ramkatha Rasavahini. As far as I am concerned, I developed devotion when I read Ramkatha Rasavahini and Bhagavatam long ago. So in the Bhagavatam, Bhagavan explained in very brief form this aspect of Dasavadar aspect and other things very nicely. So that's what I wanted to share here. Thank you, Saira.
Sai Ram, in our center we did Srimad Bhagavatam. That is the Parichit, the story. And also I heard lots of Bhagavatam. One of our devotee asked me to do the Devi Bhagavatam. But I think is everyone interested, at least we will do the Bhagavata Vahini in our future study circle or Srimad Bhagavatam. I think once in life, we all have to learn Bhagavatam. I think at least one. Sairam.
Sairam. Anyone else would like to share anything?
Sairam, brother. But in this paragraph, I'm trying to understand the Mahabharatam and the Ramayana is for the ordinary man, but it shows the people the man deserve. The only thing you can learn from it is the Lord grace. So Lord grace here in Mahabharatam, we can see Lord with Arjuna to win the Dharma. So is there anything else the story depict on the Lord grace?
Okay.
Other than winning the Dharma, for an example, for Mahabharata, winning the Dharma, he's with Arjuna. What are the other grace you see in this story? I'm trying to understand that.
Okay, good question, sister. I will again open it up for others to share. They have. But before that, I will just maybe I will just comment on what Sister Ananthi asked. Sister Ananthi, I think you
sorry, brother Aruna, can I interrupt
yes,
between?
Please,
because
please.
You are the final, you bring the final conclusion to that particular subject. Before that, I want to throw my view on what Sister Anandi's question. What is my view on this? Okay, well, how I view that part is, say a mother, she gives first the milk. When the child grows up, then she starts to feed the that food that is like a rice and other things. Same thing, but how I feel this one is, say, Parikshit was in a state that he is desperate, wants to attain the liberation. Like Brother Dasan was mentioning, he was in a position detaching all the world. He didn't want this. He didn't want any of these attachment to this world. He was in that state, but not us, not me. I don't want to say us, but not me. So that's the reason for the beginners, it is better to teach them the Mahabharata and Ramayana. When they come to a state, they want to really want to achieve the liberation part, then Bhagavata helps there. That is my view on this one. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, brother, thank you very much. I think you have already answered. But so yes, the ripeness is necessary. So Ramayana, I think the next pair of questions Swami is explaining further. The reality is that not everyone is ready to, give that be so detached that they only want the Lord. Not everyone is ready for that. And, they will say, we have so much duty to do, how to do our duties well. This is the general human being's tendency. It's just like any other subject, if people are specializing, means only very few people specialize in a particular field. Everyone goes to school, maybe, many people drop out when they go to high school, and some people go to post-secondary education. So that's the way even the spiritual world is. Not everyone, how many people would be interested in reading the Vahini? They will say it's some boring, some theory. We will come to it when we get older or something like that. So as Brother Arul has already put it, it is only when somebody is ready to let go of the world and want the Lord solely, they will find Bhagavata very attractive. They will find it of practical use, because others will say, this is just too much, I'm not ready for it. So when I'm ready, I will come to it. I think that's the reason. But the reality is, in every single Indian language, Bhagavatam has been translated. Like even in Tamil, there is a Villiputrar who has written. If you take Bhagavata, I think Vemana in Telugu and things like that. So Bhagavatam has been translated by devotees, have been studied by various people, but the number, as you said, may be small because people are really scared, to let go of the world. So I think that's my view. And I think to our sister Aruna's question, yes, there is devotion in Ramayana and Mahabharata also. You can see great devotees as part of that story. But the thing is, the importance given to bhakti in the text itself is limited. Whereas Bhagavatam is only bhakti. It's bhakti and bhakti alone. Stories of bhaktas, all kinds of bhaktas, how they prayed and how the Lord came to their help. So whereas the importance, emphasis is not as much on bhakti in Ramayana and Mahabharata, is my understanding, sister. But yes, the Lord was there to help the devotees there also. So Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, I will agree on the brother Arunos and brother Arul's talk. In our center, I knew lots of people ask in our center. Then even people ask also, they don't continue, they don't come to regular. End of the Bhagavatam, we kind of people only interested, or 5 or 6 people kind of every day follow and end like the stage the same way people want to learn and liberate, that kind of stage. Then I understand is some people even in the middle of the way, the same way brother Aruno say, they said is kind of boring, and also they couldn't understand. Also brother Suman did very well, but end of the thing Suman also feels the way he did lots of hard work and thing, and people don't attend regularly, and it's very important to, so Bhagavatam is, you shouldn't miss any single part. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, sister.
Sai Ram.
Yes, sister.
என்னுடைய அனுபவத்தை சொல்லுறேன் சுவாமி. நான் தமிழாலாம் கதைப்பேன். என்னென்றால் 1983 சுவாமிகிட்ட ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டைம் போன போது குரு ட்ரைனிங்குக்கு போனாங்க. 11 நாள் சுவாமியோட இருந்து எல்லாம் முடிச்சு கொண்டு வந்து வீட்டில் வர்ற நேரம் ஒரு கனவு. சுவாமி கனவுல வந்து ஒரு வயஸ் கலர் உடுப்போட வந்து ஒரு கல்லில இருந்து சொல்றார், 2 புத்தகத்தை கொடுக்குறார். ஒரு கருப்பு 2 சின்னாக்களோட வந்து ஒன்று ராமாயணம், ஒன்று ஸ்ரீமத் பாகவதம். அப்போ எனக்கு ஸ்ரீமத் பாகவதம் என்ற புத்தகம் எப்படி இருக்குன்னு தெரியாது. நான் அப்போ கொண்டு வந்து இவாட்ட கூடண்டு கையை காட்டி என்னட்ட பாகவதத்தை தர்றார். அவர் இருந்து கொண்டு அந்த பிள்ளையிட்டான் கொடுத்து விடுறார். மற்ற பக்கத்தில் இருந்தவர்கிட்ட ராமாயண புத்தகத்தை கொடுத்து விடுறார். அப்போ நான், சுவாமி எனக்கு இந்த பாகவதத்தை பற்றி எனக்கு ஒன்றும் தெரியாது சுவாமி என்று நான் சொல்ல, ஒரு உறுப்பா இப்போ அந்த பார்வையினுடைய கண்ணில் இருக்கு, பார்த்துட்டு படி உனக்கு எல்லாம் விளங்கும் என்று சொன்னேன். இப்போ நான் வந்து இந்தியாவிலே இல்லாடான்னு தேடி பார்த்தேன், அந்த புத்தகம் எனக்கு கிடைக்க இல்லை. நான் வவுனியா சென்டர்லாம் கூடுதலாக நான் இருந்தது. வவுனியா சென்டரில் பாலிவாசி பிரசிடென்டாகவும் இருந்தேன். அப்போ முத்துலிங்கம் அங்கே இருந்தவர், முத்துலிங்கத்தார்கிட்ட தான் சொல்லி நான் எத்தனையோ தடவை 5 வருஷமா அந்த புத்தகம் தேடி கிடைக்கல. எங்கேயோ திருச்சியில் பழைய கடையில் ஒவ்வொரு ஒற்றியாக கிடந்தது, கட்டி போட்டு 2 புத்தகமாக கொண்டு வந்து தந்தார். அதை நான் நடுக படித்து கொண்டிருக்கீர்கள். அதில் ஆக 10 ஸ்கந்தம் தான் ஆக இருந்தது, 11 12 இல்லை. அப்போ அது முடிவு உண்மையாக இது முழுக்க படித்தாலும் அந்த கடைசியில் அந்த பக்தின்ற பரவசம் அதில் இருக்குது. அது கிடைக்கலையே சுவாமி. நான் என்னென்னா இங்கே தான் கனடா கந்தசாமி கோயிலே போன போது அந்த ஒரு புத்தகம் இருக்கப்போ நான் அந்த புத்தகத்தை தருவீங்களான்னு கேட்க, இல்லை அது முழுக்கத்தான் வேண்டணும், அதில் 18 புத்தகம் இருக்குது, நீங்கள் முழுக்க வாங்கினா தான் அது கிடைக்கும், 12 11 தனியாக தர முடியாதுன்னு. அப்போ நான் சொன்னேன், நீங்கள் சரி முழுக்களையும் தாங்க கொண்டு 380 ரூபாய்க்கு வீட்டை ஒன்று வந்து அந்த புத்தகத்தை தந்துச்சிடும். இந்த எங்கட ஹரே கிருஷ்ணா அவேந்தியாக்கள் இந்த புத்தகம். அப்போ அதை நான் இப்போ தொடர்ந்து வாய்ச்சி கொண்டு ஒரு நாளும் ஒரு அத்தியாயம் படித்து கொண்டே இருக்கிறேன். சுவாமி கட்டாயம் படி உனக்கு எல்லாம் விளங்க. கடைசியில் அது பக்தி தான், பக்தி பிரவசமான இதான், பக்தியை தான் முக்கியமாக அருணா சொன்ன மாதிரி அதில் சொல்லப்பட்டிருக்குது. அதான் நான் அதை சொல்லணும்ன்றதுக்காக சொல்கிறேன். பக்தி உண்மையாக பாகவதம் கட்டாயம் எல்லாரும் படிக்க வேண்டியன்றதை தான் நான் சொல்கிறேன். சாய்ராம்.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Just for those who may have not understood what Sister Auntie Sushil said, in 83 she went to Bharti for a Guru's training, and when she came back, one of the dreams she got was Swami appeared, and Swami brought 2 people and gave 2 books, apparently brought 2 books, and one book was Ramayana, the other one was Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Swami asked someone else who was there to be given Ramayanam, and Swami instructed Srimad Bhagavatam should be given to her. And when she did not, because she had not heard the name even, and she told Swami, I don't know what Srimad Bhagavatam. Swami stared at her and told her, read it, you will understand. And then that was the dream. And since then she had been searching, and after a few years she was able to get a few copies, few sections of Bhagavatam, except chapter 11 and 12. And recently she has apparently been able to get, and she feels that reading that gives her this joy of that being immersed in total devotion and losing oneself. That's what she wanted to share. Thank you very much, sister. Just to say, Sister Ananthi, I think I was fortunate when I was small. My parents had a set of, when I was 6-7 years old, they bought from Lifco publishers the entire Villiputhurar Bhagavatam. I remember having read it about a few times as a small kid, and that instilled so much devotion, I should say, and that helped me to relate to Swami a little better. So I thought I will just mention that as well. Just bhakti comes only by reading Bhagavatam.
Thank you so much, brother. I also read while I was in the age of 8, 9, 10, the Mahabharata and the Ramayana. I'm still thinking that maybe at the time, or even right now, maybe the Swami would have thought that I'm not that in the stage to read that Bhagavatam. Yeah.
No, there are other books also like Bhakti Vijayam, Bhakti Vayal. There are many devotee-centric works which are also similar to Bhagavatam. So we can, if anyone else has something to say, otherwise we can move on to because next pair of questions, it's a very nice one. So maybe we'll read them.
Sure, brother. So one more thing I have to add to the auntie's point. Even the Baba gave the two books, Ramayana and Bhagavatam. There's a reason for that, why he didn't give Mahabharata. The reason is, when you watch Mahabharata, only one time you can watch it or two times, because it's disturb your mind to understand that the purpose of the Mahabharata you can watch. But Ramayana, you can watch even 100 times. And Bhagavata, there's better than, it'll talk about the devotees and the God. It's very good. So this is my understanding too. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bhakta. Swami, what is the relation between Bhagavanta, Bhagavata, and the Bhakta? Swami, the relationship between the Maharaja, the Yuva Raja, and the Kumara Raja. Bhagavanta, or the Lord, is the Maharaja, of course. The Bhagavata is second in rank because it has come from the Lord as a derivative with the status of Yuva Raja. The Kumara Raja is dependent on both these, and so is the Bhakta. The status of Kumara Raja is not an ordinary one. He merits the position of the Maharaja. The rest are inferior to these three. Those who do not rise up to the status of Bhakta or Kumara Raja have no access to the court of Maharaja.
So just to, I don't know, maybe everyone understands the terms. Maharaja is the king, the great king. Yuva Raja is the one who has the title to the throne. Okay, the prince who is titled to the throne, the next in line, you could say, or who has been anointed as the one who will take over. Kumara Raja is the other sons of king who also lives there, maybe in title they are just down the line, second in line, third in line type of thing. Then Swami says others, so if you Bhakta, you are in the court, you are out of the royal family. Anyone else, Swami says, they don't have even access to the court. They can't even come to the court of the king. That's what Swami has said. So without bhakti, one does not go near inside the court. So I will stop here. If anyone has something to say or discuss, please.
Sorry, brother, I don't know. You explained about this Yuva Raja. That's could you elaborate a little bit, because if that particular king has children, they automatically become the kings for after the death of the king. Then where is this Yuva Raja coming in? You say something differently. I didn't understand that part. Thank you, Saira.
So my understanding is, brother, Yuva Raja means the person is actually an apprentice under the king to be the king. He may even function as the king in the king's absence. That is the title of Yuva Raja. Okay. So he's as good as the Maharaja when the Maharaja is absent. He may chair the court and so on. So he is a king in the making. And Swami says the Bhagavata means devotees are also called Bhagavata. Not only the text Bhagavata, devotees are also called Bhagavata. So according to Swami, the Bhagavatas are people who have been anointed by the Maharaja as people who are ready to receive the title or who are ready to take over. That's my understanding of the term Yuvaraja, but I will open it up to others for discussing, sharing their thoughts.
Yes. So, for example, Dasaratha is a great king, and Rama was a Yuvaraja to be crowned, for example. And the Kumara Raja, you are saying that
Lakshmana, Bharata, Shatrugna.
Not the sons of Rama.
No.
Oh, okay.
Anyone of the king.
Because usually, if Rama had sons, and he had sons, and they will take over once Rama is passed away. So the Kumara Raja, the brothers have very little chance unless the eldest one dies. So Kumara Raja, if you say the brothers, then it is remote chances for them to be the king ultimately. But Bhagawan is trying to say that Kumara Raja is not an ordinary one; he merits the position of the Maharaja.
Yes. So the thing, it's the crown prince versus the other princes. The other princes also have privileges within the court, but they are not the crown prince. That's what Swami says, brother.
Mm.
But I think in the world of divinity, there can be many Yuvarajas also. It's not like the worldly place where it is just the status, is my understanding. But Swami is just giving an analogy here. I don't think there will be only one Yuvaraja. There can be many Yuvarajas also.
In English translation, in the other books, they put the heir apparent, for the Kumara Raja.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, heir apparent means he will one day come to a king.
Yeah. So my view, my understanding is that Rama was not even a Yuvaraja. Rama was a Kumara Raja initially, and just before he was to be anointed as the crown prince, that is when he left the country.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yes. So he was not yet to be crowned as the king yet. He was to be anointed as the crown prince. So that is one stage. It's like, marriage. Before marriage, there's an engagement, and then marriage takes place. It's something of that sort.
Okay.
Okay. So
yeah, that's okay. Thank you.
All of them were Kumara Rajas until that point in time.
Yeah.
When Dasharatha decided, now it is time he starts transferring power. So he wanted to make him the Yuvaraja. And that is when Kaikeyi intervened. Before that, all of them were Kumara Rajas, just to use the same example. That's my understanding.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay.
Sai Ram, this discussion, this paragraph made me think, I don't know if I'm using the right analogy, it reminded me of Jesus when he said, like Bhakta is, I'm son of God. Then you progress in your devotion, and then you realize, like Bhagavata, then he said, I'm messenger, like you have reached to the level where you can confidently say, I'm messenger of God. And then he said, God and I are one, that is Bhagavata. That's how I see. And it also reminds me, once I think I read when Bhagawan said that when you say yourself, I'm a devotee, which is bhakta, understand what devotee means. Are you really a devotee, or you are using that word loosely? Are you at that level, or you are not even anywhere in those three levels? Because as Swami said, those who do not rise up to that status of bhakta have no access. So even to call ourselves devotee, are we really devotee? And that's a question from time to time I do ask, am I really acting like a devotee, or I'm nowhere in this series? This is my interpretation.
Thank you very much, sister. I will just, I think Jesus initially said messenger of God, then son of God, then I am myself and father of one. I think you are right in terms of analogy. Yeah. The messenger is to be a Kumara Raja. They can go and do anything. Whereas the Yuvaraja is the son apparent, heir apparent, or one who is ready. I'm son of God, or something like that. But I think maybe we can say all of them are sons of God in this case. Within that sons of God, also Swami is categorizing Yuvaraja as something a bit more special. Because Kumara itself means son. So, Sahiram, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So maybe the people who don't have access, they are all messengers category. Once you become the son, then you become either a Kumara Raja or a Yuva Raja. But says within that also there's a small hierarchy, maybe a hierarchy of growth. And then Maharaja, thank you, sister.
So in this one, then Swami is comparing the Bhakta as Kumara Raja.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that the right thing?
Yes,
I'm
yes.
not questioning Swami's word, but I don't understand that part. That's he's giving equal prominence to the Bhakta as a Kumara Raja. Like we are also, as we become the real devotees, we become eligible to become Swami, like it's him, like him. Is that the right thing? I'm understanding, right?
I think so, brother. Otherwise, I will open it for others to say whether they understand.
Thank you, Arul. You are right. But you know what Shivani put it just now? Shivani said, whether we have to question ourselves whether we are devotee. So that's a brother said, now as a messenger of the state, we are outside devotee status for in the beginning or even now. We don't know. So we are outside, not in the parambara, in the lineage. So outside. Then we move into a devotee state, becoming Kumara Raja. Then progress to Yuva Raja, and then finally the great king, Chakravarti. So we are entitled, if the devotee is entitled to Bhagavan is very often is saying, especially to the students in Kodaikanal and other places, that you and I am waiting for the time when you realize that there's no difference between you and me. So Bhagavan is saying that, telling everywhere there's a status equivalent to him in a day. In a day means it could be aeons and aeons and aeons and after. So Bhagavan is saying that. We cannot say he's saying just because of the saying's sake. We cannot take that way also. So we don't know yet. But as we have to aspire. That means we have the great potential within us, which has not developed within us yet. So we have a long way to rise. But we don't think that there's so much of hierarchical higher state that to become birthless. We just think, oh, I can become birthless just doing devotion, and it looks very, very hard. But we can reach some good abode, say Sarkaloga, some good Vaikuntha Kailasa. We may go, but we have to come back on to reach the final status equivalent to Baba. No? So we don't know, but at the same time, I always think Baba is hero. Baba is saying everyone is hero. I am the hero. So that statement which he only used also appear contradicting to what Bhagavan is saying, that you will be me in one day, So whatever it is, the devotee, as a devotee, we have to understand that we are zero. We are the zero. We have to be very, very humble and egoless, and we have to feel the humility, and we have to understand we are the zero, and he is the hero. Only then the devotion can develop. And that devotion may or may not take us to his status or not. I am not sure about that, but this is what I see from this students' talk and the books and other things. sorry to say that, Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, just a quick addition to what Brother Sivadas was saying. Today is Maha Samadhi. Sama-idi. Samadhi is Sama-idi. That is Samadhi, yes, that is equal-mindedness. If not today, one day we should aim to be with Swami, realizing Swami and I are same. Thank you, Sai.
Okay, Sai Ram, brother. So if everyone is okay, then we will read the next pair of question and answer.
Bhakta. Then, Swami, the yogis, the jnanis, the ascetics, do these not deserve that position? Swami, whoever he may be, without bhakti and the love of the higher truth, how can anyone become a yogi or a jnani or an ascetic? They too have bhakti in an equal measure. Take laddu, jalebi, Mysore pak, and a number of other sweets. In each of them, as a common cause of sweetness, there must be the one article, sugar, isn't it? How else can they be made? So also, in these three paths, the sweetness of the Lord's name, or bhakti, is an ingredient. Without it, the very names of these objects become absurd.
Okay, so Swami is sort of addressing the paths. You know, as many people say, I'm a karma yogi, I'm a jnana yogi, I'm a raja yogi type of talk. And Swami says, even they have to have bhakti if they were to be called, otherwise the names themselves are absurd. So Swami is saying bhakti is a common ingredient for any path. So I will stop there. If anyone has something to say or share, please go
ahead. Just to clarify it, so it says the sweetness of the Lord's name or bhakti. Can you say that that's equivalent? The sweetness of the Lord's name is equal to bhakti?
Thank you, Sister Kalyani. I wanted to ask the same question. You brought it up. Excellent. Thank you, Sai Ram.
Anyone would like to share? You know, Swami is talking about the sweetness of the Lord's name or bhakti is an ingredient. What does that mean? Is that bhakti? Is the name, the sweetness of the name? I think it's Kalyani's question is, how is that synonymous with bhakti? Is it the same as bhakti or is it equivalent to bhakti? I think that's a question, I guess.
So my understanding, brother, if we take any kind of sweet, what is the main ingredient? So sugar. So Swami is relating that one. If you may be a yogi or jnani or some other form, but if you don't have bhakti, that sugar, then you are not entitled for the thing. So so you have to, bhakti is the main ingredient. If you don't, then, and the love. So bhakti and love is very, very important. So that is my understanding.
So I will just read the Telugu version and I just translate it a little bit to my Amit. So Swami says, "Ee moodu margamulandu," so in these three paths, bhakti anu Bhagavantuni madhura namamu cheri undanu. So what Swami says, the sweet name of the Lord, which is called bhakti, the sweetness of the name of the name of God will be in them, which is called bhakti. Okay, so the thing is, what he says, bhakti means the sweetness of the name of the Lord should be in them. Yeah. It should be sweetening their person. That Swami is calling the bhakti. So the thing is, bhakti means you have to have some connection to the Lord, and the connection is only through His name. As soon as His name, you are sort of soaking in that name, which is actually gives you the sweetness. And you will only soak in the name if you have bhakti. So bhakti is a description of a person who is completely soaking in the sweetness of the name of the Lord. That's the way Swami is saying. Okay, so it is synonymous. So many people say bhakti means, I am devoted to, I believe Sai Baba is God or something like that. Swami says that is, you all are interested in something. You are not necessarily tasting the sweetness of the Lord. So Bhakta only wants the name of the Lord. He wants to just think of him. So I think that's what Swami is saying. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, first of all, we have to have that faith on the name of the God. Then we go to that bhakti. If you don't have that faith on the name or the Lord, bhakti is not there. First of all, we have to faith it. We have to believe it. Then we have to go to bhakti. It's never change it, no. So that other things that we all came from the Lord, the God. One day or another, we have go back to God. So we have to have that bhakti on that, or the aim is there, should be there. Then one day we will reach that goal. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much, brother.
Saira, go ahead, please.
No, Uncle, you go.
No.
No, it reminded me how beautifully Brother Aruno, I could see his face and he's saying the sweetness of the Lord. Oh my God. It reminded me when we discuss, I think in this one as well, that Swami has said, my Lord is much powerful than my form. And if you're upset, if you're angry, if you're anything, just take my Lord, my name. I mean, imagine the power, the sweetness, the power in his name itself is so beautiful. It's powerful that it can take away all of our worries, anxiety, and whatever we are. So forget about the form. Form is the last thing, maybe, to just soak ourselves. We should soak ourselves in his name so much that I don't know how to express. It's just immerse in his name all the time. Thank you, Brother Aruna. Thank you.
Sairam, what I wanted to say is that in the name of bhakti, sometimes we do fasting. We do fasting. We visit temples or Sai Centres, and we do japa and meditation like that, and so many disciplines we may do. But it is not equal to bhakti. That's according to brother explained nicely. Brother explained it. So bhakti is enjoying the sweetness of the name of the Lord we are praising. So once the name is mentioned, devotees shed tears. We read this in Puranas, in the Priya Purana and everything. Once the devotee hear the name of the Lord, they profusely shed tears. So many 9 months that one. So when there is the taste of sweetness in the name of the Lord, that makes that entitles a person to say that he has bhakti, according to Brother. Yeah, thank you, Saira.
Here, Brother Aruna, I'm going to share something you have mentioned long time back to me, and which is so impactful to me and my kids, that forget about taking 108 times his name. Even if once in a day, if you deep down sincerely take his name, Om Shri Sai Ram, very sincerely, it's so powerful, you don't know what it will do to you. And believe me, that has become so important in our household that whenever we take his name, we just say, even take just once. Don't worry about 108 times, 21 times, but take it from deep down in your heart and sincerely calling his name. But thank you so much for sharing. Long time back, but it was very powerful.
Sairam, I agree with that word that Swami says that if you think of me about few seconds, in full faith, I am there in front of you. Swami says. That's my belief. Thank you, Saira.
Sairam, brother. I think we will go to the, unless someone has something to say, we can go to the next paragraph. Because I think, otherwise that paragraph sort of sums up a lot. Any questions which may stem in anyone's mind, I would say.
Another point, Swami, can one approach the presence of the Lord only if he has faith in the Lord, and only if with that faith he performs japa, dhyana, bhajana, and puja? That is to say, is it not possible to attain that position through the path of truth, the path of dharma, the path of prema, the path of service to others? Swami, well, how can the qualities you mention originate without the fear of sin and the love of God? Are these paths and the qualifications needed for them ordinary and common? No. They are the doors to the inner apartment of the Lord. Those that follow those paths can easily reach the precincts of the Lord. But yet, there is a difference between relatives and friends. Those who develop only these qualities are friends, but those who practice them, along with devotion to the name and form, become relatives. That is the difference. The meditation on the name and the rupa helps to strengthen the gunas also. Without that foundation, the gunas cannot be strong and firm and pure. The Lord's name and the Lord's rupa remove the dross from the qualities of man.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kalyani. So here Swami is addressing, I think everyone talks about, practice 5 values and this and that, Swami is addressing that as your truth, dharma, prema, and all that. And they will say, can't we reach the Lord? Of course, Swami is clarifying, yes, you can become friends of the Lord. That means you can come close, you can be near the court, near the palace, but entering the presence of the Lord, Swami says it has to have bhakti. So that's what he says. So I will stop there. And I think sister also clarified one of the things, which is fear of sin and love of God. It has been translated as fear of God. It should be love of God. In the Telugu, it says Daiva Preeti. Papa Bhiti, Daiva Preeti. So I thought I would just highlight. Anyone can share their thoughts, please. Hi.
So, Sairam brother, here that's a good part is faith. The faith, is bring the bhakti. The bhakti bring the love. So, in order to bring the love and thing, you have to do Swami's. You have to follow the Swami's teaching. If you don't follow the Swami's teaching, that means there's no fear of sin. There's no love of God. So Swami's one important thing is follow my teaching. That can bring my grace and love. When you get the grace from him, the love, and you can easily merge with him. So this is my understanding. Thank you.
Thank you very much, brother. Anyone else would like to share your thoughts?
So, Sairam, so Bhavan is saying that, for example, Bhavan quoted the Lion Club and Rotary Club and even so many humanitarian-based service organizations, and they are doing good work, but they cannot be said as devotees who has the right to go to the inner apartments of the Lord. So, and as nicely said by Dasan, so the fear of sin and love of God, for these two things are absent in the people who do only follow truth, dharma and service to others. We don't see Baba saying that they do not have the fear of sin and love of God. So fear of sin and love of God. Fear of sin, when we break the Bhagavan's words, and if we break the Bhagavan's words and we don't feel that we are breaking, if we don't understand that we are breaking his teachings, then there's no fear of sin. So the fear of sin has to be there. Oh, this is what it is, and I have to follow, strictly follow to that. So devotees, to entitle to become devotees, we must have the fear of sin and love of God. And also in the Aradhana Mahotsavam day, as brother said, everything is matching now for us. Bhagavan is now 10th year, is no more in the physical body. So he is in the witness state, as Bhagavan has said it. So it is the 95th year actually we are saying. So actually he was supposed to live until this year or so. So almost like that. So it is a very turning point, and we see Bhagavan as witness now. Where does he stay now? Or even before or now, where does he stay? And I reminded of a letter that he wrote in the very, very beginning. Before the creation, we wrote a letter. No? Before the creation, I was all alone. When I had a thought of creating, and mountains rose up, rivers running, oceans made, everything formed, fire formed, everything formed, human being came, and in the human being, in the heart of the human being, I put myself inside. And so whoever serve, one say in the letter, whoever serve the other human being is entitled to my kingdom, something like that. I have not exactly forgotten what. So the service is one of the main things according to Baba's letter there. But at the same time, we have to have him in our heart, in others' heart, outside the heart, and everywhere. Everywhere he is the sole proprietor of this universe, and he created this out of his own sankalpa. And so his power and his principles are in each of us. So we have to realize that he is in each of us. And we have to have the fear of sin and love of God. And it will help us to be at least in peace until we leave this world. And I wanted just to say this one. Thank you, Sairam. Sorry if I have anything wrongly said. Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam, I want to add a point here. Swami is mentioning in the last, on the second paragraph, on the last few sentences, the meditation on the name and the rupa helps to strengthen the gunas also. Without that foundation, the gunas cannot be strong and firm and pure. Because this is an excellent, Swami putting it in very nicely here. Because if we don't have that gunas strengthened, even though people are claiming that we are doing the Satya, Dharma, Shanti, Prema, that sort of a quality could be easily changed by the environment that we are accompanying, or whatever the actions we are doing. It could be easily changed. Or why I am following this? Because the rest of the world is doing immorally acting. Why should I do this? But if we are sticking to this, if you strengthen our gunas, that is the most important thing. That's what I think Swami is mentioning, that part, that we have to strengthen our gunas. Very, very key. Once we strengthen our gunas, in the sense that we have love of God, and then we will never deviate from the right path. Sai Ram.
Thank you very good. Yeah.
Thank you very much, brother.
So the Lord's name, the last line is the Lord's name and the Lord's rupa remove the dross from the qualities of man. So so if the quality has to be pure, and we have, and this only helps us remove the impurities from the quality like Satya, Dharma, Sandeha, Prema, like that. So yeah, very good. Thanks.
If everyone is okay, we can read the next. Yeah.
Oh, one other
Yes,
thing that I
yes,
was pretty like a strong statement that Swami is saying is that you can't even get these qualities of prema or service or truth without love of God or fear of sin. Like sometimes I tend to think that, oh, like even if someone is an atheist, they can be a good person, or even if there's like a nonprofit organization that's not, you know, religious or spiritual in any way, they could still be doing good work. But I guess Swami is saying that that's not even possible. Like maybe, is that right?
Yeah, that's what clearly said here.
I think the next pair of questions Swami is answering that, Kalyani. So I think, so I will just wait till the next two. Actually, you read this and the next one, if you don't mind.
Bhakta. But the bhakta and the man with good qualities both attain the same place, isn't it, Swami? Swami, certainly. The merely good man becomes a candidate who deserves the place. A good man who has bhakti has a title to the place. He cannot be passed over. Bhakta. Swami, there are many people who are active doing various things under the slogan, the service of man is the service of God. Do their deeds entitle them to the place? Swami. Why do you ask so? Certainly, for those that do service with that attitude. But it is very hard to get that real feeling. Considering others as men, simply saying that serving them is to serve God is not sincerity. The mind will then run in two channels. Grasp the glory of Madhava, God, fully. Understand that Madhava is in every Manava. Believe that service to Manava or man is serving Madhava only. Then your actions will certainly entitle you to the place. What greater qualification is needed than that? Instead, if service is done for name and honor and fame, and if there is a craving in the mind for the fruits of one's actions, then the statement, service to man is service to God, has no meaning, nor will one get the results expected.
So I think it's in these two pairs of questions, I think Kalyan Swami has answered. You know, they are good people, so they are deserve to be candidates, as Swami says, but they're not entitled to that state. And then you know, Swami is very clearly, because many people, all of us say we are serving people is serving to God. Swami says no. He says first understand what is the glory of the Madhava. First we need to understand God fully. If we have understood God fully, then there will be bhakti naturally, and then we can see that Lord in everyone. That is the second step, and only then you can do whatever you are doing as service to man, as service to God. Because without knowing God, you cannot be serving God. Just because you say so, he says first understand God. Once you understand God, there should be love welling within us. You know that, because you cannot help but fall in love with God if you understand the Lord, and then see that Lord in others. So Swami is very systematically saying, because many people just, as Swami says, you know, service to man, just because people make the statement has no meaning at all. No, they will not even get the result we are looking for. We can see this in other people who say this and then turns out to be, you know, whether they really mean it or not. So I will stop here and I will open it up. Kalyani, I think sort of addresses the question you asked. Yes, are they good people? Yes, they are good people. But then the Lord is saying there is dross in their actions, because there will be some level of ego. I am helping them. But first of all, me being able to help itself means I have taken the stuff from them. I am rich as somebody is poor. How did they become poor? Because I am rich, they became poor. So then they say you are not giving what you took away, you are giving back, and then you feel good about it. That's what Swami will say. So I'll stop here. I will open it up for discussion.
Sairam, we have to note that word candidate. Bhagavan is saying they can be a candidate. Candidate means he has to, from that state, he has to improve one step further. So the people in the Rotary Club and those people. But here the devotee has the title entitled to become with Bhagavan. So one step, there's a gap between the candidate and the title, owning the title. And also, as brother said, here Bhagavan is categorically saying that there's no meaning in the word service of man is service of God unless we see our deity in the people we serve them. So if we don't see Sai in the people we serve, then we cannot say that service of man is service to God. Vimanesan is here, but he is not talking. But Vimanesan was saying, but Bhagavan was saying about this Rotary Club and this club, because there is a difference between those organizations and the Sai organization. Because Sai organization work is the real service is seeing Sai in the people whom we serve. Only then it becomes a spiritual discipline and take us far above to reach the ultimate goal. So without seeing the Sai in the people we serve, and if we serve and we say we did the seva, it does not have a meaning. That's what Bhagavan is saying. Yeah, thank you, sir. Time is also up. And before I forget that today the study cycle, Tamil study cycle will start at 3 o'clock. As we send the email and everything. Tomorrow also, afternoon 3 o'clock, please. Thank you. And go ahead, brother. You can continue whatever way you like. Thank you.
Sorry, brother. Service to man, service to God. First of all, if the person doesn't have the basic understanding God is not there, so he's not following the fear of sin, love of God, he can make the mistake anytime because he doesn't have any fear. So if you are serving somebody, if you are doing any service, you're supposed to not to have any body consciousness. So you have to have the Atmik Vidya. Then only you can understand, I'm not the doer, I'm an instrument. I'm doing the God job. So I'm not getting any fame or anything. So if you are doing any selfless service, that you are surrendering everything to the God, then that will accept by Swami as a devotee. You are seeing Atma from everyone. That concept you're supposed to have. Same Atma. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much, brothers. Thank you. So Brother Dasan has nicely summarized, so there's nothing for me to add. So we will close with Samastaloka and we will continue next week. Saira. Oh. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Oh. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Sairam, everyone.
Sairam.
Sai Ram.
Ram.
Sai Ram.
Sairam.
Sai Ram.